Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are previewing the Major League Baseball pitching matchups for Thursday, July 23rd. We're talking with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Joe Duffy, is there any other professional handicapper who, in your opinion, can outcap you in baseball?
No, and it ain't bragging if you can do it. And I've been doing this for a long, long time, and it really goes back to the Scorephone days where I established myself as the premier baseball handicapper. The truth is, because for everybody in the industry, the sales are going to be down during baseball season. Maybe they have a little bit more problems getting motivated, but the truth is I handicap offense more than most handicappers do, and that's really my secret. I think that really the odds favor the pitchers too much and don't take offense into account enough.
Well, let's take a look at Dodgers at Mets. Whether you're favoring the pitching matchups or the offense, you're going to be leaning Dodgers here, right? And what will the line be? I don't know. It's Clayton Kershaw against Bartolo Colon. The Dodgers are obviously going to be a big road favorite. They might not be an enormous road favorite. And, you know, Clayton Kershaw, we've talked about him in many of these calls. He hasn't been a good bet all year overall. He did dominate his last start, though. And, you know, I love fading the Mets offense. They've got nothing right now. He might have another dominant start. And Bartolo Colon had some great starts in the beginning of the year, but he seems like he's fading out here. And I don't know. I'm thinking maybe the Dodgers, even if they're minus 180 on the road here, might be a good bet. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, you really think Clayton Kershaw has a pitching advantage there? You're sticking your neck out on the line there, Peter.
That's why I get paid what I get paid, Joe.
Hey, but as I was alluding to, you know, in some of the previous broadcasts, Colon, he's an older guy. He does carry a couple, you know, carries a couple extra pounds. So you can see how he's struggling in the summer. And as you said, Kershaw, it's tough to get value on him, but he is even pitching slightly better after a somewhat mortal start to the season. It was a heck of a start by most pitcher standards, but not by his standards. He is turning it around. You know, laying 1.5 on the road can be a somewhat risky proposition, but with a pitching mismatch here, laying a 1.5 on the road, so I would much rather lay 1.5 than lay the big numbers on the road. Although, you know, I'll run it through my computers to see if that fear is really justified. But I do think that maybe laying the 1.5 on the road might be a possibility.
And then another game that has caught my eye is Toronto at Oakland, right? Hutchison against Kazmir. And I'm thinking about an over here. We're probably going to see a relatively low total. We're probably going to see a total of like 7, actually, because of Kazmir. He's had a great year. We know, though, that Toronto crushes lefties and that Kazmir can be vulnerable. He's not the kind of guy like Chris Sale or Kershaw who's like, when he gets hot, he's strong enough to have a dominant start in and start out. He is coming off of some good starts. He might get hit hard here. We know that Drew Hutchison has pretty bad home road splits, or good home road splits if you're looking at it from the home perspective, bad if you're looking at it from the road perspective. Day game in Oakland. Oakland has actually been over trender at home this year. I'm thinking maybe we get a total of 7 here. I'm thinking the over might be a good bet. What do you think, Joe?
I think Kazmir's a little bit better pitcher than you are giving him credit for. He is one heck of a pitcher. He's been doing it for quite some time, going back quite a few years. And as you said, Hutchinson, another one of those guys that much better at home than he is on the road. I think Oakland's really got a big pitching advantage here, and another one that I would at least consider the run line, laying the 1.5 at home.
You think so? But Toronto crushes lefties, Joe. I mean, and you know, Kazmir, yes, if they were going up against Kershaw or Sale, you know, maybe I'd be a little bit more cautious. But Kazmir just doesn't feel like the kind of guy who's got the strength and the physical constitution to dominate repeatedly.
I've actually, a couple years ago, I wrote an article on it, and I used numbers that were maybe more current at the time, but it basically said that lefty-righty statistics can be some of the more volatile because we found that some teams are much better against righties at home and lefties on the road. Right. So I will say that I do weigh lefty-righties a little bit less than most handicappers there. So I do think that Kazmir's got the pitching advantage for sure.
Fair enough. And then another game that's caught my eye is Minnesota at the Angels. It's Irvin Santana against Garrett Richards. And I've been looking to bet on Richards for a while after he had his rocky start. I knew he was going to bounce back, or I strongly suspected he was going to bounce back, and he did. He's generally been very reliable. I suggested in his last start that the Angels would be a good bet over Boston. That was a surprisingly low line. The Angels, I think, closed like minus 135 It was Richards against Porcello. I don't know what this line will be here. Irvin Santana, since he's come back from suspension, has had some good starts, has also gotten hit, but I just like betting on Richards in general. On the other hand, Minnesota has been the most profitable team in baseball on the year overall in terms of ROI, so that's not a great thing to bet against, but I think I might be leaning towards betting the Angels here. We might see another very low line. Maybe the Angels will be just minus 120 or 125 or so.
Yeah, you're right. I think that Richards is probably one of the more undervalued pitchers at this point. And you brought up a good point where it was a very good wager. I would give them credit. I'm sorry. The one that's owned by Sports Options, they did a very good article that showed that contrary to what maybe some people may think, that when a team is a good investment in the first half, a lot of people may say they're overvalued, go against them in the second half of the year. But they did a very good job documenting how that is actually not true. So get that out of your head. If a team has been a good investment so far, there's a pretty good chance they will continue to be a good investment, or certainly not a good go against. So I would agree with you. I do think that there's some good value there with Richards.
All right, well, those are my leads for Thursday, July 23rd. I am leaning towards betting on the Dodgers, even as a big road favorite, with Clayton Kershaw leaning towards the over in Toronto, Oakland, and leaning towards betting on the Angels against Minnesota. Is there anything else you think might be give us some value on Thursday, July 23rd, Joe?
Yeah, it's one of those that with the Cardinals, you're not necessarily going to ever get great value, but Lance Lynn pitching very well, 4-1 with a 2.03 ERA over his last 8 starts, and I think that's really about the only note that I had underlined that we haven't covered.
Short card on Thursday, July 23rd. Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Thanks so much. Talk to you again very, very soon.